Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We've got some RLCS predictions on the docket for today. It's NA Open 6 and the last online event with all of your teams. This is when we're going to start to see teams qualify for Paris, Worlds, and I guess technically EWC as well, potentially. Might be a little bit more on the docket for EWC. But we got a fun event. We'll kind of speed through the groups because I think they're pretty straightforward this time, other than this one group over here. But let's get into it. Rebellion versus No Dope. No Dope's not a bad squad. That's Arju, Seamus, and Knight. But Rebellion has been on a tear recently, and it's hard to predict otherwise. I'm gonna give them the 3-0. I'm not gonna sit on the fence and say No Dope get a game here. I like the squad, but Rebellion's been really good. LOB versus Strictly Business. LOB did upset Gen G in the Swiss last night, so that's not a bad pick. But Strictly Business has been more consistent all season. I guess it's technically a team that's only been around for the split, but they've been looking pretty solid. They are 5th in points, I believe, for the split. Got to predict them. I'll give the one game, though. Spacestation versus Little Step Bros. Yes, Little Step Bros made the main event. They beat Fellas to do it. Fellas made the past 2 main events, but it came down to round 5. I think it came down to game 5 as well. And Alpha Kept Squad clutches up. Space Station absolutely drops a game here, but they're not going to drop the series. They'll make it a little bit nerve-wracking for a moment, but then they'll get it together. And it's only because they're staring across the pitch at Alpha Kept. I want to make that clear. I think anybody else the level of Little Step Bros, they're probably sweeping. But Genji and 1. This is a good test for 1 to see if they really want to swing up. I remember I had Royales on here a couple weeks ago now, and he was saying he thinks they can beat Genji. Genji's looked in better form since then. So this one could go either way. A lot of people are going to predict Genji here. I think I'll back it as well. I'd love to be proven wrong, and that's definitely a match that 1 can win, but I'll predict Gen G. I trust what they did last event. They did not look terrible in the Swiss stage. You know, I'll call it how it is right now. They've looked better. Rebellion versus Strictly Business. This should be a Rebellion win as well, but I'll give Strictly the one game here. Space Station Gen G should go to Space Station. I don't know if it'll be nerve-wracking. I feel like this is either a sweep or it's a game 3 overtime with the series tied 1-1, and then SSG wins that, and then they win in game 4. I could see it going either way in that case, where it's like, nerve-wracking or just cut and dry. No Dope versus LOB. This is a tough one. Because I think No Dope is pretty solid, but LOB did take down Gen G. I think I got to go based on that result. They went 3-1 in the Swiss. I'll trust it. I'm going to give it a 3-2. And then 1 versus Little Step Bros. I'm sorry, Little Step Bros, but I'll give you guys one game. But 1 is a strong enough team to just take care of business there. Gen G versus LOB. Is this the match that happened? No way, right? No, they didn't upset Gen G. No, they beat Dignitas in the Swiss. Maybe I was saying the wrong thing. They beat Dignitas in the Swiss. I'm pretty sure. In round 4. I'm going to give it to Gen G here, though. They've been pretty solid. And then Strictly Business versus 1. This is another great matchup. I'd love to see 1 win one of these. And I think they very well could. You know what? I was non-biased here. I'm going to be a little biased. I've been told that I'm biased in these predictions, and that's true, but sometimes I'm not biased enough. And the teams that I think are going to do well do even better. It hasn't really proven me wrong. I think this is a good squad. It wouldn't surprise me if they make it top 8 again. Moving over to Group B, we've got Virtus Pro versus Chiwiwis. Who did Chiwiwis beat? They beat M80 to make it to this main event. They won in round 5, 3-1, I believe. This should be comfortable for Virtus. Virtus looked really good in the Swiss. They had a banger matchup against Food Esports. That was a fun one. If you have any desire to go back and watch a series from the Swiss, that was probably the one I enjoyed the most. Next to New versus True Stacy's. Let's double check on that True Stacy's roster real quick. Okay, so True Stacy's is Realize Expert in Devo. I did think of that while I was pulling this up, but I figured I'd just go the whole distance. Not a bad squad. They went 3-1 in the Swiss stage, and I think they beat somebody relevant, if I am not mistaken. They beat 1. Yeah, I'd consider that a relevant team. Next to New, however, I've been talking about how, and actually, like everyone, in fairness now, has been talking about how they've gotten shafted by the bracket. These guys are good. These guys cannot be underestimated. Granted, when you take energy to game 5 and force a reverse sweep out of them, you're going to get noticed. Gotta give it to Next to New here. And then we have the most difficult quadrant, Energy, Dignitas, Flute, and Immigrants. I've been seeing people warn me about Dignitas maybe being able to take this. and it's not impossible, but it's Friday, and Energy has all week to look at this matchup. I'll make it close, but I'd be crazy to predict against NRG here still. I'm sorry. Foot Immigrants should be clean for Foot. Chiweebi's True Stacy's. This is where I'm going to give Devo Expert of Realize that game. And then, for those who don't know Chiweebi's, because I haven't highlighted them yet either, this is Seek, Poyo, and Stealth. Poyo was a sub for Gen G a while back. Stealth has been around the bubble for quite a long time now as well. Seek I'm not familiar with, but neither's Liquipedia, so I'm going to give myself a pass on that one. Dignitas versus Immigrants should be going Dignitas' way, but I'll give that 3-1. Virtus Pro next to New. Another tough draw for next to New. I back Virtus enough. And then NRG Foot, last event, we saw this be 4-1 in favor of Foot Esports in the playoffs. You know what? Call me crazy, but Foot wins. Foot wins this in game 5. NRG is going to be tired after this long. If it goes 5 here against Dignitas, I could see them being tired. I could see them being less focused. Foot coming out with a vengeance. I mean, these guys are trying to qualify for Paris and Worlds, and they got to get as many points as they can. It matters more to Foot than it matters to NRG right now. I'm going to predict Foot again. In the lower bracket, it will not be close. And then next to New Dignitas, I'm going to give next to New the upset win here. I'll give it a 5. But I'm not unimpressed by Dignitas this split. They did lose to Gen G last event, and they didn't make top 8 the event before that. So it's not unheard of that they would lose here. And next to New, they're overdue. And I've been saying how they keep getting matched up against very difficult teams. This is their chance, and I think they take it. Into the playoffs, Rebellion versus, or we'll start down here. We'll start with lowers. NRG, I'm sorry, Royales, but no way. I'll give you one game because you actually made it close at one point. And then Gen G next to New. I've wanted next to New to win this matchup like 3 times now, and they haven't. So I have to back Gen G. They've been putting it together on the pitch. 4-2. Could be a fun one, but Gen G comes out on top. In terms of the major race, I think with how things stand, this would genuinely qualify everybody. I think NRG and Foot just need a top 6. Rebellion and Rebellion and Space Station just need a top 8, if I'm remembering correctly. It's pretty cut and dry. I mean, Foot and NRG are tied for 10 points, and they're tied for 20 points, and they're 10 points above 5th place. It's going to take a crazy run. And I eliminated the team that was 10 points. So, Virtus Space Station rematch. I think it'll be less close, but it could be a fun series. I'll give Space Station the series here. And then Rebellion versus Foot. We saw this in the finals and in this position of last event. Rebellion took it in the finals. Foot took it here. I'm going to back Rebellion. I mean, there's a lot of hype around them, justifiably so. I'm going to say they clean house here. Let's start at the bottom, work our way up. Virtus Pro Virtus Pro NRG. This is where we saw the Game 5 overtime, I believe it was last event in the group stage. Virtus Pro ended up taking it. I think it's a playoff match. It's an elimination match. Virtus Pro obviously have the potential to beat NRG. And I could see it's a weird... I'm considering it. I'm genuinely considering it. Granted, I had Virtus Pro winning the last event, and it came back to bite me. I'm not going to be as hopeful for them this time. Sorry, guys. It's not impossible that they win this, especially given that it's the 3rd event, and weird things tend to happen in the 3rd event. But Foot versus Gen G, I think this would be the first time we see this split, which would be a lot of fun. I'm giving it to Foot. I think they would be so much more motivated to win this game. I mean, you're dealing with Justin, who was kicked. You're dealing with Cheese, who was kicked. I think it would absolutely go Foot's way. I think they'd be super motivated to win that. And, I mean, they did all first split, so. Space Station versus Foot. Foot looked a lot better last event. Space Station looked a tad bit worse, but honestly, I think there's a lot of people overreacting to the fact that Space Station didn't make finals last event, and they ran into Shopify, who went on to win the event in very clean fashion. So I'm not super panicked. Would not surprise me, especially given this path to see Space Station back in the finals. The heater we're all waiting for, Rebellion versus NRG. Not to do the whole March Madness. Oh, I gotta hedge my bets if I'm picking a quote unquote upset. I said I could see this one going either way. I've been talking about how good a form Rebellion is in. I'm gonna predict Rebellion in a banger Game 7 series, and we get Spacestation versus Rebellion in the final for the 1 seed. Ahead of this event, if literally NRG, Foot, Space Station, Rebellion, if they win the event, they get the 1 seed. It's as simple as that. So everybody has something to play for. But who gets the 1 seed? I'm being boring and predicting the two teams that are leading right now. I feel like it's going to go 7. It's going to be fun. I'm going to give it to Rebellion. I don't know. I can't do it. I can't justify it. It'd be amazing for Space Station to win two series in the split, but I'm giving Rebellion back-to-back regional wins, and they come in looking like the best team in North America. That's how things stand here. Points standings. This is what we got for Paris. It's clean. It's decided. I mean, what else do you want me to say? Worlds, Foot would need 18 points. So that's pretty bad for their Worlds chances, because I believe that's a guaranteed they would need top 2 at the major. That looks like Virtus Pro makes it. This would also almost guarantee that these are your 3 EWC teams. There's only 3 teams qualifying to North America, or qualifying out of North America for EWC. It would be these 3 teams. Crazy that Rebellion would be that far ahead of NRG. Really? But what are they at right now? Is NRG just... Oh, yeah. NRG is just 1 point above Rebellion. I forgot about that. Imagine we live in a world where Rebellion come into Worlds as the 1 seed from North America. Like, we're not far off. That's crazy to think about. Either way, I've gone on for too long. Thank you all for watching. Shout out the channel members. We got Fishy Sauce, Archbear, Mrs. Turtle, and then newly added Raphael. Really appreciate all of you guys. Yeah, thank you all for watching. And let's have a good final North American event. See you guys.